There is a story that is absolutely dominating the cultural conversation right now.
Oh, it's everywhere.
You hear it at dinner parties, you see it in the panic of op-eds, and you can practically smell the fear in the faculty lounges of universities across the country.
Right.
The story goes like this. Artificial intelligence is the destroyer. It is coming for education.
It's the apocalypse.
It's ruining the minds of students, it's making degrees worthless, and it is essentially the end of human competence as we know it.
It's the blockbuster narrative of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
It has high stakes, urgent pacing, and best of all, it has a very clear non-human villain.
The algorithm.
Exactly. The machine.
And frankly, it's a story that feels, well, it feels comfortable.
Of course it does.
Because if the machine is the villain, if the technology is the active agent of destruction, then we, the humans, the teachers, the students, the parents,
We get to be the victim.
we get to be the innocent bystanders who had something beautiful taken away from us by Silicon Valley.
But that comfort is exactly why we need to stop. We are going to look at a source today that suggests this entire narrative isn't just wrong.
It's a lie.
It is a lie. And the truth it's covering up is, well, it's much simpler, much older, and infinitely harder to swallow.
The premise we are unpacking today is aggressive. It's the idea that AI didn't ruin education.
Yeah.
It didn't break the system.
No.
It simply turned on the lights and revealed that the system was already dead.
And that the students aren't victims of a new technology. They are finally being honest about what they actually wanted all along.
That is a heavy opener. So we need to set the stage properly. We are looking at a teaching titled The AI Reckoning, Formation versus Substitution in Education.
And it is by Pastor John L. Widdifield of Remnant Church Online Ministries.
So we need to be very clear about the nature of this session. This is not a tech review.
No, we are not going to debate the efficacy of large language models or, the copyright lawsuits of the New York Times. We aren't here to give you top 10 AI tips.
This is a discernment train.
A discernment drop, exactly.
Yeah. And that implies a sifting, a separation of things that look alike but are actually fundamentally different.
Precisely. Pastor John's text is sober. It's authoritative. And frankly, it is not designed to make you feel good or motivated.
I know.
It is designed to be a mirror. The goal here is moral clarity. We are here to help you decide where you stand in a world where faking competence has suddenly become free.
Let's start with that core thesis then, because it's the lens through which we have to view everything else. Pastor John makes this assertion that the chatbot didn't corrupt the system.
Yeah.
He says it just turned the lights on.
Think about that image.
Yeah.
You walk into a teenage bedroom that's pitch black. You flip the switch.
Right.
Suddenly you see the dirty laundry, the trash on the floor, the mess everywhere. Now, did the light bulb create that mess?
Obviously not. The mess was there in the dark.
But as long as the lights were off, you could pretend the room was clean. You could, navigate it by memory and just ignore the rot.
And Pastor John's argument is that our education system,
Universities, high schools, seminaries, has been a messy room with the lights off for decades. Students have been pretending to learn.
and institutions have been pretending to teach.
Yes.
But hold on, pretending seems harsh. I mean, I know plenty of teachers who are working themselves to the bone. I know students who are stressed out of their minds. That doesn't feel like pretending.
No, it feels like struggle.
It feels like struggle.
It is struggle, but what are they struggling for? That is the question. The crisis isn't that students are suddenly cheating because a bot made it easy.
Right.
The crisis is that the bot revealed they were never actually engaged in the learning process to begin with. The cheating is just the confession of that fact.
So the mask is off.
The facade has collapsed.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the first major concept we need to dwell on, the mirror.
This is a crucial distinction. Most people, when they see a student use ChatGPT to write an essay on Hamlet, they see a corrupting influence. They see a digital temptation.
The bot made me do it.
The bot made me do it. Exactly. Which is nonsense.
It's worse than nonsense. Society clings to the AI is the villain narrative because it preserves our innocence.
How so?
Well, if AI is the bad guy, then the university is a noble sanctuary of truth. The professor is a guardian of wisdom, and the student is an innocent lamb being led astray.
It absolves everyone of responsibility.
Everyone. It's the devil made me do it defense, just, updated for the 21st century.
But Pastor John uses this concept of the mirror instead.
He does. He says, mirrors do not accuse, but they do not flatter. AI acts as a mirror reflecting the true state of our intellectual desires.
Break that down. What does the mirror show us when we look into it?
It shows us the system of exchange. For 40 years, we have built an education system that is transaction-based.
A retail transaction.
Basically, I give you $40,000 in 4 years of my life. You give me a credential that gets me a job.
That's the deal.
That's the deal. We confuse credential accumulation with character formation. We mistook transcript collection for transformation.
I see what you mean about the rot being there before. I mean, look at grade inflation.
Of course.
Look at the gentleman's C becoming the gentleman's A. Look at diploma mills.
Exactly. Or look at the way we treat syllabi like contracts rather than invitations to adventure.
Oh, that's good. The first question is always, what do I need to do to get an A?
And that is the question of a transaction. That rot was there 20 years ago. Wikipedia didn't start it. Chegg didn't start it. But AI made the friction of the transaction zero.
It removed the effort tax.
It made the rot undeniable. If you hand a student a tool that can do the work for them, and they immediately, without hesitation, take that offer.
Then the tool didn't make them lazy.
The tool revealed that they never cared about the work. They only ever cared about the output.
This feels like we need to get very specific about terms. Pastor John draws a really sharp line between two concepts, formation and substitution.
The whole argument hinges here.
It does. So what specifically is formation?
Well, we have to define this by negatives first, because our culture has completely forgotten the positive definition.
Okay.
Formation is not job training. It is not skill acquisition. It is not learning how to code or how to write a grant proposal.
That's shocking to hear, because if you look at any college brochure, that is literally all they sell. Career readiness, skill up.
Which is precisely why they're in a panic. Because AI can replicate skills. Formation is the shaping of a person.
The shaping of a person.
It's the molding of their attention, their habits, their loves, and their capacity for truth. Pastor John references this idea of the examiner.
Examiner.
True education, he says, implies living as though there is an examiner, a standard of truth outside of yourself that you are accountable to.
That sounds incredibly old-fashioned, almost liturgical.
It is ancient. It is the foundation of the university itself. The goal wasn't just to produce a worker who generates economic value. The goal was to produce a human being who could govern themselves, who could see reality clearly, and who had the character to stand for the truth even when it was inconvenient.
Okay, so that's formation, the shaping of the soul, essentially. Then what is substitution?
Substitution is about output. It's only about output. Every educational system asks two questions. Question one is the substitution question. Can you produce this output?
Can you write the paper? Can you solve the quadratic equation?
Can you generate the JavaScript code? Yes.
And question two?
Question two is the formation question. Has this changed you?
Those are radically different metrics.
And here is the conflict. AI is the ultimate substitution machine. We have to look at the tech for just a second here. What is an LLM? It's a predictive engine.
It predicts the next word?
It predicts the next likely token based on a vast corpus of data. It has no intent, it has no soul, it has no self to be formed.
So it's pure substitution.
It produces output without any internal process. It is perfect at output and completely useless at formation. It cannot change you. It can only replace you.
This explains the existential dread I see in teachers. I was talking to a friend who teaches high school English. She assigns an essay, and she just knows, that half the class is having GPT write it.
Right.
Her panic isn't just about grading. It's deeper. She's asking, if the bot can do it, why am I assigning it?
And Pastor John delivers the hardest answer in the entire text right there.
Which is?
He says, if the course was only about the output, it shouldn't exist.
Wow. That burns.
If the only value of your class was the production of a document that a probability machine can now produce in 4 seconds, then your class was never forming anyone.
It was a factory line for paper.
That's all it was. The panic reveals that the institution was fundamentally hollow. They were selling output, and now output is free.
This leads us to what I think is the most controversial part of the teaching. Cheating as confession.
Yes. This flips the script entirely.
Usually we talk about cheating as a rule violation. You broke the academic integrity code.
A technical foul.
Or we talk about it as a desperation move. The student is overwhelmed. They have 3 jobs. They had to cheat to survive. And I have a lot of sympathy for that argument. The pressure is real.
The pressure is real, but Pastor John argues that the act of cheating is not a commentary on the pressure. It is a confession of the soul.
A concession.
He says that when someone claims AI is just a tool for cheating, they are actually confessing a specific worldview.
What are they confessing?
They are confessing the unspoken belief. If I had this tool, I would not use it to learn.
Play that out for me.
To view AI only as a shortcut, you have to believe that the work itself has no intrinsic value. It implies that thinking has always been a burden to you.
That learning has always been an obstacle.
Exactly. Like a traffic jam, you're trying to find a route around. You don't drive through traffic to enjoy the traffic. You do it to get to the destination.
So if you view education like a commute...
Of course you'll take the helicopter.
But isn't there a difference between a commute and, say, training? If I'm training for a marathon, I can't take an Uber to the finish line. That defeats the whole purpose.
That is the perfect analogy. If you go to the gym and you invent a robot that lifts the heavy weights for you while you sit on a bench and drink a smoothie, have you hacked the gym?
No, you've missed the point of the gym entirely.
If your goal wasn't strength, if your goal was just to post a picture on Instagram proving you were at the gym, then the robot is a miracle.
It gives you the social credit without the suffering.
Precisely.
So the student who cheats is confessing, I don't want strength, I want the photo.
I want the credential, I want the grade, I want the salary.
Yeah.
It reveals that education was viewed as something to get through, not a process of becoming.
And this is what Pastor John calls the moral breakthrough.
Yes. It's not a technological breakthrough, it's a moral one. When substitution becomes easy, the mask slips. And this is where the projection comes in. You hear people screaming about how everyone is going to cheat or humanity is doomed to be lazy. They're projecting. They are admitting that they do not value the struggle of learning.
So they can't imagine anyone else valuing it either.
They cannot imagine using AI to test their own thinking because they never believed testing their thinking mattered in the first place.
That brings us to the sorting mechanism. Because I remember when ChatGPT first dropped, there was this incredible optimism. This is the great equalizer.
It democratizes education.
Every kid gets a Harvard tutor.
And Pastor John corrects that naive optimism immediately. He says AI doesn't democratize, it sorts. It is ending the lie that everyone wanted an education.
That's a huge claim. We assume everyone wants to be smart. We assume everyone wants to be wise.
That is a false assumption, a deeply false one. Most people want to be rich, or comfortable, or admired. Wisdom is painful.
So what's the split?
Pastor John describes a split that is happening right now. And listen closely. This split is not based on money. It's not based on IQ. It's not based on whether you go to an Ivy League school or a community college.
It's based on what?
Desire. It is a split based on what you actually want.
Walk us through the two groups he lays out.
Group A are those who want to know. They possess the desire for formation. When they look at AI, they don't see a ghostwriter. They see a sparring partner.
A multiplier.
A multiplier, yes.
Give me an example of a Group A interaction.
A Group A student pastes their own essay into the bot and says, roast this argument, tell me where my logic is weak, give me 3 counterarguments a Marxist historian would make against my thesis.
They use the tool to make their own mind sweat harder.
They use it to increase the load, not reduce it.
Okay, so that's Group A. Then there's Group B.
Group B, these are the people who want to appear as though they know. They possess the desire for the credential. They use AI to replace effort.
Write this for me. Summarize this PDF so I don't have to read it.
Fix my code.
And what happens when these two groups diverge over time?
The gap becomes unbridgeable. It's irreversible because the middle ground is gone. You used to be able to fake it a little bit in the old system.
Sure, you could skim the book, memorize a few key terms.
Write a mediocre paper and get a C+. You could exist in the middle.
The muddle-through strategy.
But now, output can be simulated instantly and perfectly. A bot can write an A paper. So if you are mediocre, you are now indistinguishable from a bot.
The average student is obsolete.
You are either forming yourself into something distinct or you are nothing.
That is terrifying. If the average is dead and the output is worthless, where does the value go? If I can't prove I'm smart by writing a good essay, how do I prove it?
Understanding has to migrate. It has to move to places that cannot be faked.
And this leads us to the section on apprenticeship as restoration.
Right. Where does value hide?
Pastor John lists the refuges of value: conversation, oral reasoning, mentorship, apprenticeship.
Think about why those things matter. You can fake a PDF. You can fake a digital portfolio. But you cannot fake a conversation in real time.
Not for long, anyway.
Not for long. If I sit across from you without your phone and I ask you, explain why you made that decision or connect this idea to what we discussed last week, you are naked.
You either know it or you don't.
There's nowhere to hide. It's the return of the oral defense. We are moving to a world where comprehension must be demonstrated, not just displayed.
That's a key distinction.
You can display a diploma on a wall, but you can only demonstrate understanding in the fire of interaction.
This sounds great in theory, the return to mentorship, the master and the apprentice.
Hmm.
But how does that work in a university with 40,000 students?
It doesn't.
It does.
It collapses the system. Apprenticeship does not scale. You cannot have one master forming 500 apprentices in a lecture hall.
It's not possible.
True formation requires proximity. It requires time. It requires the master to know the apprentice's character, not just their student ID number.
So if this model returns, the business model of modern education
Is over. The mills collapse. And Pastor John is very specific here. Credential mills, universities that exist just to sell paper, they collapse because the paper is now worthless. But it goes further than that.
Who else collapses?
Performative intellectuals. The thought leaders who tweet pithy things but don't have deep substance.
Oh, yeah.
The AI sounds exactly like them now. They are drowned out by the noise. Seminaries that act like graduate schools, pumping out pastors who know theology but don't know God. They collapse.
Churches that replace discipleship with content.
Content consumption. Come hear a good sermon instead of come follow me. They collapse.
Because I can get a good sermon generated for me in 10 seconds.
Exactly. If your value proposition is content, you are dead. If your value proposition is formation, you are the only thing left standing.
But there's a threat here to the teachers, too, right? Pastor John mentions the teacher sort.
This is the part that will make people angry. Apprenticeship exposes the teachers just as much as the students. In the old output-based system, a teacher could survive on system momentum.
What does that look like? System momentum.
It looks like the professor who hasn't updated their lecture notes in 15 years.
We've all had that professor.
They recite the material, they hand out a multiple-choice test, the TA grades it, and they go home. They aren't engaging with the student's mind, they are processing a cue.
They are essentially a fleshy algorithm themselves.
Correct. And in an apprenticeship model, the master has to actually know their craft, they have to be able to do it, and they have to be able to explain it in the moment under pressure.
There's no script.
There's no script. If you are a fraud or if you are burnt out and just phoning it in, an apprentice will know instantly. So the people most threatened by this shift are not defending education or the children.
They're defending their positions.
They're defending their tenure in a system that didn't require them to be fully present.
So the survivors, then, are the apprentice makers.
The communities that believe formation costs something. The mentors who are willing to pour their life into a student, not just their information. And historically, this is how it all started.
Right. Pastor John brings up the historical context of voluntary education.
We forget that compulsory education, forcing everyone to go to school, is a relatively new experiment, a very modern one.
For most of human history, education was voluntary.
You didn't have to go to the monastery. You didn't have to join the guild.
You chose it because you wanted to change.
You wanted to become a master mason. You wanted to become a scholar. It was a voluntary submission to a rigorous process of transformation.
And Pastor John argues that AI is forcing us back to that reality.
It is. The age of compulsory formation is over.
Because you can't force someone to be formed if they have a tool in their pocket that lets them fake it perfectly.
Exactly. If a student doesn't want to learn, you can no longer force them to go through the motions of learning. They will just press the button.
And the argument is to let them.
And honestly, let them. This is what he calls the justice of the moment.
The justice of the moment.
For the first time, everyone gets exactly the learning they asked for. If you ask for a shortcut, you get the ultimate shortcut. You get the grade, the degree, the appearance of knowledge without any of the effort. You get your reward.
But you remain hollow.
You remain unformed. But if you do want to learn, if you are in Group A,
then you have a superpower.
You now have a tool that allows you to learn faster and deeper than Newton or Einstein or C.S. Lewis could have ever dreamed of. You have the sum of human knowledge as a private tutor.
This is the acceleration he talks about.
Those who want formation will move at light speed. Those who want credentials will stand perfectly still, holding a piece of paper that means absolutely nothing.
So the gap between the formed and the substituted
is going to be the defining social divide of the next 20 years.
That puts the responsibility 100% back on the individual.
Yeah.
There is no system to blame anymore. You can't say, my teacher was bad, or the textbook was boring. You have the oracle in your pocket.
The mirror is up, the excuses are gone.
I want to land this by revisiting the central binary. Formation versus substitution. Transformation versus transaction. It feels like we're at a crossroads.
We are. Formation asks the question, who are you becoming? Substitution asks, what do you have to show?
And we have spent a century obsessed with what we have to show.
AI has rendered that obsession obsolete because now anyone can show anything.
You can show a dissertation you didn't write. You can show art you didn't paint. You can show code you didn't understand.
So the only value left is who you are when the internet goes down. When you are in the room with a client who is panicking, when you are at the bedside of a patient, when the crisis hits and there is no time to prompt the bot.
Who are you then?
Who are you? That is the only thing that cannot be prompted into existence.
Pastor John leaves us with a very specific challenge. And I love that he doesn't direct this challenge at the Department of Education. He doesn't direct it at the tech CEOs. No, it's not for them.
He directs it at you, the listener.
It is a direct confrontation.
He asks, are you using AI to replace yourself or to become someone worth replacing nothing for?
That is the discernment drop, right there. AI is not your teacher. It is your multiplier.
It makes you more of what you already are.
Exactly. If you are lazy, it makes you incredibly efficiently lazy. If you are deceptive, it makes you a master deceiver. But if you are curious, if you are hungry for truth,
then it makes you fiercely, deeply capable.
it does.
The age of voluntary becoming has returned.
Whatever you choose now, whether you choose to fake it or to form yourself, you're choosing on purpose. You can't blame the tool.
The light is on, the room is messy, and you have to decide if you're going to clean it or just generate a picture of a clean room.
Choose wisely.